Right, now this will tell us. And that's pretty conclusive. Still going. Close. I think he got it down.
How strong is he?
Welcome back to another episode of Pick and Go, where we talk all things rugby union, and in particular, Super Rugby at this time of the year. And once again, I'm joined in studio by former All Black, former Hurricane, former Blue, former Wellington Lion, former Piriwipu.
Former what else were you going to say?
Well, Manu Judge champ or something.
Oh, it's good to be back this week, even though we're a day late.
Well, why are we a day late?
Because you got everything wrong.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, we're a day late, but we're still joined by our good friend Ben Seal of Searley Talk Sports.
Mm.
And this time he's not up in the big smoke. He's up in the big smoke, somewhere stateside. I'm guessing on the west coast of America, maybe LA? LA?
Yes, Santa Monica. And I'm glad the podcast wasn't yesterday because I literally could not speak. I had no voice. Las Vegas got the win 13+ over your mate Searley, but I've bounced back a little bit today. It's fair to say the medicines over here are quite strong, which has been good. I've found my voice back, and I've managed to watch some Super Rugby highlights too. So I'm ready for the pod, lads. I'm good to go.
Well, so Vegas was a success, Searley, before we leave that part.
Depends how you define success. I will say everyone goes in with the intention being like, I'm going to destroy Vegas. Vegas doesn't know what's going to hit them. About 2 days into the 5-day trip, Vegas was all over me. So, yeah, I can't see myself going back anytime soon, and I'm glad to be out of that place. And just on the water here in Santa Monica, it's a much nicer setting.
No sneaky random tattoos, bro?
No random tattoos, but did end up at a wedding chapel. But I'll save that story for another day.
Finger and watch. Oh, wow. Yeah, well, I can't wait to hear that story. That's sensational. Okay, Vegas 1, Searley 0. Unbelievable. Yeah. What about you? You were a judge on the weekend. Was it the Manu Champs?
Yeah, the Z Manu World Champs, and even did the celebrity bomb comp.
Who you did?
Yeah. As well as, I didn't judge, no. They had Chippy come in and replace me.
So who were the celebrities that did the Manu?
You? I don't know who the celebrity is there, not me.
Wow.
That's you, mate. That's you. Come on.
Tyler came with a bit of heat. She'd been practicing for quite some time, though. There was Azura, who was on the morning show for Flavour. There was Lewis, who won it. He's one of our Olympians, our swimmers.
Oh, Lewis Clarebert.
Yeah.
He's always jumping in the water, so he probably should have won.
Well, not really.
What?
He was pretty average last year. And he came back with a vengeance this year. He outdone me, so it was good. Who else? We had Charlie Pomer, who's part of the Flavour morning crew. Kaylee was meant to do it as well, but she decided to drop Azura and Charlie off and act like she was going to do the parking, go and park the vehicle, and didn't show up for the bomb.
What, took off?
Yeah.
What?
And then showed up once they had done it. We had done it.
Wow.
So I was like, alrighty then. But it was a good weekend. How was golf? Well, how's the golf trip?
Oh, the trip was good. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Just, okay.
Yeah. What did you shoot, Paulie? Come on, tell us.
Well, it was 4 rounds.
Yeah,
okay.
Because you had a pretty good course to go to right at the start, didn't you?
Oh, Terrace Downs, yeah, it was a beautiful course. It wasn't beautiful golf.
What'd you hit?
100 and something.
Oh, raise the bat.
What uncle?
What, Rod?
Yeah. Did he play?
Yeah, he played. He went well there.
What about the rest of the winery? Don and
No, Don's didn't
Donzie?
come.
Oh, you didn't come in the end.
No, he had a bung knee. So Coral Dick took his place.
How did he go?
Yeah, he went well too. Yeah. All right. Okay.
Next one. Next course.
Clearwater. Yeah. It was a nice course. After 9 holes, I went to the pro shop to get a sandwich. And when I was in there, a lady walked in and goes to the guy behind the counter, you might want to come around here. One of the guys has crashed his golf cart. And I'm going, oh, no. Which one of the boys did it? Oh, but there was a different group. It was them. Yeah. It wasn't us.
So who won the trophy?
Skinny. Yeah, Skinny won it. He won by 3 shots from Horsey, who was 15 shots off the lead going into the final round.
Wow.
And shot 44 stabes on the final day to get within 3 shots of Skinny. But yeah, so Skinny won. And we're 30th edition will be next year.
Is it always at the same place?
Nope.
Where's Nick? Do you know where you're going next year?
No, it hasn't been decided. Might be overseas.
Vegas.
No, not after what you said, Searley.
There will definitely be a chapel story.
Oh, Paulie. I reckon you could beat Vegas, mate. You're cutting the right stuff.
Yeah, whoever comes last has to find someone to marry in Vegas.
Or you have to come back with the
Mike Tyson tattoo. Well, shoes already got plenty, so it wouldn't look out of place. Right, we better get on some rugby. Boy, oh boy, jeepers creepers. Question for this week, and we'll stick with Vegas for just a little bit longer. With the NRL taking games to Vegas, should Super Rugby look to do something similar? And if so, where should they take games? Searley?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, right? Rugby's already much more of a global game than rugby league is. And just in the Ubers, like I was surprised how many of the drivers and how much of Vegas knew about the rugby league that was happening this weekend, which was cool. But they were still calling it rugby, and a few of them still thought the All Blacks were playing. So I think rugby is more of that global brand. Of course, the All Blacks are coming back to the States, to Chicago later on in the year. So I don't know if Super Rugby needs to go overseas. I reckon the next thing they need to do is lock down this champions competition where the winners of Super Rugby or the top teams play the top teams from Europe, and you could hold that in Saudi or something like that where you can cash in massive amounts of money and people can go over and watch this and travel, and then you get the fans from the Northern Hemisphere linking up with the fans in the Southern Hemisphere and bragging rights are on the line. I think that's the next kind of step that Super Rugby could take in order to reach some more global fame, because I think rugby's already pretty well known all around the world, and I reckon that competition would be unreal.
Sounds like Searley's putting his hand up to manage Live Rugby.
Hey, look, if there's a couple $100 million, I would never say no. Even just 1% of that, I would still say yes.
Pity, what about you? You think Super Rugby could take games somewhere else?
I have been thinking about that. It's just where, though. That's the only thing where you can actually get a good, decent crowd. I think what I did enjoy about the Warriors, although they didn't get the result, they created a good hype around it. And I think there was quite a few Kiwis that actually made the trip. And so, like, plus they had the plane, obviously, but I mean...
I think they had a few planes, to be fair.
But I mean, how good is that? Like, if we were able to create the exact same thing, but it just depends on where they go, really. Yeah. I did think about, like, either Dubai or Japan as one of the locations, but it's just whether I just don't know if, everyone will migrate over there.
I
think Searley can let us know just how many Kiwis were over in Vegas, and in particular, how many Waz jerseys were down on the Strip or Fremont Street in Vegas.
Yeah, the Warriors were by far the biggest supported team, and I did wonder if it was just because I'm biased as a Warriors fan, but everywhere you went, there were Warriors jerseys. Behind the Warriors, it was probably the Wigan Warriors as the next best backed, and just because their fans are so loud and sing everywhere they go, I think we still doubled them in numbers. They just really made their presence felt. So your Warriors fans were by far the most travelled. I do think maybe a Super Rugby round in London could work with like all the expat Kiwis and people would get around that. But it's a long way to travel for Kiwi fans to go for one weekend of footy. So that has its counter arguments too. But yeah, maybe around in London, there's half of the young population of New Zealand's over there doing an OE. So people would get around that for sure.
I wouldn't mind seeing them take a Moana Pacifica game to Tonga or to Samoa. Just keep it a wee bit closer to home and then start to expand out to somewhere like the Middle East or maybe Europe. But yeah, it is slightly different, as Searley says, because rugby union has more of a global awareness, I guess, than rugby league.
Yeah, they do, but the marketing side of it now is totally different to what it was back in the day. Like I feel like leagues has dropped the ball, and now they've found it, and it's just been growing. Whereas rugby, we started off, and now we're sort of fading and almost dropping the ball. So it's almost done a 180 on itself, and now it's trying to figure out how do we encourage people to come and watch these games. I mean, some of these games there's been about like over 50 points scored. So it's not like it's a bad brand to watch.
Fair enough. Okay, we'll see what happens. It's early with, let's take it to Dubai. And Pity, let's take it to Wainui.
Well, hey, we already have. And it was sold out.
What, a preseason game?
Yeah, they were selling 2,500 tickets and all sold out.
Couldn't you just see the game anyway?
Or if you were like the rest of us.
Yeah.
Just go and stand around the outside of the fence line and
you can see the ground anyway.
You see my brother and all that down behind the try line, behind the fence, not inside the fence.
Okay, let's have a quick review of what went on last weekend. And we had a wonderful round of entertaining football. Started on Friday night with the Highlanders travelling up north to take on Moana Pacifica. Highlanders got out to a big lead, and Moana Pacifica came storming back, and that was ignited by Artie Severe and another wonderful, individual try, and they just fell short again, Searley.
Yeah, heartbreak for Moana because, man, watching that back, I got so excited there. All momentum was with them. They had opportunities to win it too. I guess it was that 10-minute period right before halftime where they leaked 21 unanswered points and then some missed conversions, which at the time you didn't think were going to be that important because it didn't seem like Moana were in the game. But on reflection, looking back, I think there was 3 there missed by Havili, who scored some nice tries too. But yeah, unfortunately, he just couldn't bang over 1 or 2 of those because that could have made the difference. Still plenty of positives for Moana, though. They look like they've found a nice little home there at North Harbour. The crowd wasn't crazy, but they were passionate and they were vocal and they had a decent turnout. And I think Artie just showed again that on his day, well, not even on his day, just every day, he's one of the best players in Super Rugby, if not the world. And that was his best performance for Moana. And I think in Pellegrini, they found some impact off the bench and someone who they might look to start this week too, because I don't know much about him, but he looks sharp.
Shirley's right when he says that 10 minutes before half time were critical for the Highlanders, and they scored, you could probably say, a 14-point try when Caleb Tangito intercepted the ball close to the Highlanders' goal line and then ran the length of the field and scored handy to the post. That really sort of took the wind, I guess, out of Moana Pacifica, and they took a while to sort of regain composure. And they, as Shirley said, they leaked a few points in that 10-minute passage just before halftime.
Yeah, it's good to just to see the fight that they've got. Like, they've had 3 games that have been down to the wire. And I think, it's not through lack of effort. I feel like in the second half, it was like Tana must have put a rocket up their ass, and then they woke up, and then all of a sudden they're playing footy again, and making it a lot more competitive. Maybe need to get on there a bit earlier, just so that they could start the end of that, or finish the end of that first half a bit better. But I'll tell you what was a good battle was Tavatava Nawai and Ari Savia, especially around the breakdown, because I mean, there's those two battling out. I think Ari might have stole the ball, and in one movement, Ari might have stole it, and then Tavatava Nawai ended up stealing it back for the Highlanders. I mean, that battle in itself was a interesting one, because just how solid they both are over the ball, being able to steal the ball from the breakdown and give their teams opportunities, or even secure the ball when they're under the pump.
Moana Pacifica aren't that far away, although they have an 0-3 record. There's just a couple of things that they need to tidy up, or a couple of things go their way in a game, and they could be looking at a 2-1 record at the moment. So it's not all doom and gloom for them. The problem is when you get into a bit of a trend, and it's the same thing. If you start winning, that you sort of get that momentum, but it goes the other way when you're always losing. You don't get those 50-50 things go your way, or it seems they don't go your way. So I'm sure they're going to pick up a win. It's just a matter of when. Next game on Friday night was the Waratahs and the Drua, and it's another exciting game, and the Drua only just fell short again. This is the Waratahs team, remember, that won 2 games last season, and now have just turned things around. And well, we've talked about it before, Searley, that even though the demise of the Melbourne Rebels is a sad thing, it's really concentrated that talent over in Australia, and it's been better for those teams that remain.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the Force are a great example of it too. You mentioned Moana, they've lost 2 games now by 2 points or less. I think the Force have lost, 3 or 2 by less than 5 points, and now the Drua have lost 3 by less than 5 points, which is a testament to how close the competition is. But I think the Australian teams in particular have been massive improvers. I thought the Waratahs in this one looked a little bit clunky, but they were still good enough to come away with the win, which is really important for them. And then for the Drua, that's 2 close road losses. And last year, you get the feeling they would have gone to these games and lost by, 14, 20 odd points, because they were never really in it on the road. They're showing more depth. I thought their bench had a massive impact in the back end of that game, and it was almost enough to get them the win too. So although they're 0-3, it's been pretty promising for them. In saying that, they got the Chiefs at home this week. If you're 0-4, you're almost semi-done in this competition. So that becomes a must-win for them, which is brutal. But yeah, the Waratahs, 2 from 2 now. They had the bye first up. They're looking decent. They'll want to lift another level, though, because I still think they've got a bit more in their game to go with the names that they have on paper.
Pity the Drua. They were very, very good again, but just couldn't quite get over the line.
Yeah, it was a hard watch, that one. I think a few kicks as well, and to sort of keep that game, a lot tighter and put a lot more pressure on them. But I feel like Searley said, we traveling. No one really expects them to be that well. Especially, I think last week or the other week against the Canes up in Hawke's Bay. I don't think anyone expected them to show up like that, and they played outstanding. And like the style of footy that they are capable of is massive and quite entertaining as well. But I guess the downside is just the whole defense system. I reckon if they can fix that, the same with Moana, tighten that up a bit more and leak less points, I think they could potentially have a better crack at winning these tight games.
Next game we'll move on to, and the Chiefs Brumbies. and the Brumbies sort of they kept it tight for a while, but boy oh boy, this Chiefs team, Searley, this Chiefs team that you've adopted, they do look pretty good.
They do. 83 points in 80 minutes. It was a weird game, this one. Every time you feel like the Chiefs were about to pull away, the Brumbies scored again and kept it within closing distance. And it was only really that final try which made the scoreline look a little more flattering to the Chiefs than what it was. Again, Damian McKenzie, really good. Josh Jacob, really good as well. But the standout for me over the last couple of weeks has been Quinn Tupaia. I'm so stoked to see him playing this level of footy again. I thought, obviously, that injury, the ACL to Darcy Swain, I thought that could have really cost him in his rugby career. It cost him a shot at the Rugby World Cup. But he's come back now, played All Blacks 15 last year, and he looks to be back at that level he was prior to the injury. And he just looks so confident and happy at the moment. And this whole Chiefs team does too. They get boosted by Sean Stevenson this week back as well. So, yeah, they've still got cattle to come back into this team, and they're starting to roll. A tough task this week heading over to Fiji. They won't want to slip up, but this is a good Brumbies team. It's another team that travels really well too. So this was a big win for them at home.
Pity the Chiefs just look, they've gotten better and better. They started the season off very, very well, and they've gotten better with each game. And they've got a whole heap of experience that's been coming off the bench. As Searley said, Stevenson comes back this week. I guess D-Mac picked up a wee bit of an injury, so it's just great to see that they've got players coming through, but they were super impressive against the Brumbies.
Yeah, it's like that second half. Every second half that they've had, that's where it's like they've kept another fuel tank somewhere hidden away, and it just kicks in, and it's like they've just cruised in the first half just to show a few things, and then all of a sudden in the second half they've just kick it into another gear. And like obviously there was a few changes over the weekend to the starting lineups, but I don't think it mattered much because I feel like the roles, everyone understands their roles. So whether you're starting, whether you're coming off the bench, how important you are as an impact player to do your role and nail it. And like when they have brought their substitutes on, man, they've pretty much changed the game, sped it up a bit more. I guess that'll be concerns for some teams in figuring out how they can contain that later on down the track. Or could it be another thing of the Highlanders back in the day? Then, they come out to a good start and then they start fading because they're burnt out, which we've seen with the Highlanders in the past. But I think watching over the weekend, they're still playing some great footy, and I don't think they'll be slowing down anytime soon. But if they did, it would be through burnout.
Righty-ho, Saturday night, and there was controversy in the capital. The Blues getting up over the top of the Hurricanes to record their first win of Super Rugby Pacific 2025, 33-29. If you look at this game, Searley, the Canes did have their opportunities, and in the end, look, there were plenty of yellow cards. So if you look back on the game, I guess, first of all, the Blues will be happy they've picked up their first win of the season.
Yeah, a first win of the season, and it will be a relief for them. They look like a side that was desperate to get that win. They don't look like the crisp, polished team of last year at the moment. They're certainly down a bit on confidence, and things aren't quite clicking for them as a squad as much as it was last year. But sometimes just getting that first win can do massive things for you. So I'm sure Blues fans will be hoping that was the win they needed to really kickstart their season. I think Bodie's move to 10 proved to be the difference towards the end, so that's a bit bittersweet for Hurricanes fans for sure. And saying that, I thought Harry Godfrey looked really good, and there's a lot of potential in this lad. I think we've talked him up a couple times on this podcast. He's still young. He had a great NPC season for Hawke's Bay, and I thought he had a really good first half in particular. His kicking game, the way he runs the ball, he's really fearless. He's almost got a bit of D-Mac about him. So that's exciting times for the Canes. And yeah, I guess the Hurricanes, that they need to pick up a win now. They've got Moana this week and the Landers next week. All of a sudden, they could find themselves in a lot of trouble. But no doubt this one hurt for sure.
Pity that Harry Godfrey, he crossed over for a try almost untouched. Just sliced through that Blues defence. So there were some bright spots for the Canes, but yes, Vern Cotter will be very, very relieved after that W.
Oh, I don't know if he'll be relieved.
Oh,
Well, I just think, his expectations of those boys was they should have won those first 2 games, and this week should have been another stepping stone for them. But obviously, he's had to start and get his first win of the campaign in round 3, and so for him, it's how he can grow from that. So I don't think it's a bit of relief. I think he still has that high expectation of the results that they had last year, and the start of this year they've been pretty slow. So I think for him, he'll be still looking at trying to work on a few things, making sure that the boys tick the boxes a lot better, and that when they sort of go to training, they're not. They're ticking the boxes in terms of the little things that they need to get right, so that they can execute it on the weekend. But yeah, Godfrey's been actually been pretty impressive. I guess from the start of this campaign, or even in the preseason, is showing good. I guess a good skill set that can sort of run the team, drive it around, and I think. Now that he's been sort of 3 games in, he's feeling a lot more settled and understands that this is his team, that he can run the cutter here.
Final game of the round saw the Reds and the Force battle, and the Reds came out on top, and there are only 3 unbeaten teams left in Super Rugby Pacific, and 2 of them are Australian sides, Searley. The Reds, 2 from 2 after starting the season off with a bye. The Chiefs, of course, at the top of the table, yet to be beaten. And the Tars are 2 from 2 as well. So Reds just going about their business and just being a wee bit better than the Force on the weekend.
Yeah, I want to congratulate the Reds for rolling the dice. I think a lot of teams there, that penalty in the final minute, a lot of teams would have taken the shot, gone to golden point, and you back yourself to win it there. But they said, no, we're going to go for the kill here. They backed themselves. And they came away with the try, which is a pretty ballsy decision when you think about it, because it could have easily gone the other way too. So, yeah, well done to the Reds. Mentioned before for the Force. It's just another loss for them within 5 points. But they're doing well to just be there or thereabouts with these teams too. So it's an interesting match this week for the Force. I see they're massive underdogs. Massive outsiders, sorry, in this week's matchup. And I'm not so sure if those odds are right. I don't mind them for a cheeky little upset, but we'll touch on that shortly. But yeah, well done to the Reds there. They're 2 from 2 now, and they do look dangerous.
Pity the Reds, just doing exactly what needs to be done. And as Searley says, they're not afraid to chance their hand. And, well, if you, I guess, being in Vegas, if you're going to throw the dice, and they roll you away.
Don't do it. Just don't throw the dice.
I'm not going to lie. I didn't watch this matchup just because it was 2 Aussie teams. Maybe if it was a Kiwi and Aussie team, I would have watched it a bit more. I think I just watched the highlights, and I think through the highlights you can sort of see what kind of game, what the game was like. Anyway, I saw my man got a meat pie, which hopefully my betting come through. I don't know.
It didn't.
I think it's stuffed up at the first.
We'll get to that. Yeah,
anyway.
Well, just saying.
But yeah, Reds are just sort of ticking the boxes at the moment and getting like Searley said, that was a ballsy call. Never mind the draw and go to golden point. We're going to have a crack right now, and we're going to make sure that happens. They would never have done that in the past. I can guarantee you they would have gone for the 3 points.
Let's go to golden point.
Let's go to golden point. We've got a better chance at golden point.
Righty ho. I mentioned that there are 3 unbeaten teams, and unfortunately for Moana, they're yet to win a game. So another question for you boys. What will happen first? The Waratahs will lose a game or Moana Pacifica will win a game? Searley?
One of the two is happening this week. I just can't work out which one it's going to be. There's going to be an upset this week, and it's either the Force beat the Tars or Moana beat the Canes in the Adi Savea rematch. I think the Tars will lose first. I think the Force will beat them this weekend.
Oh, there we go. I'll tell you what, those two upsets, if you put them together, come out in some very, very juicy odds. Moana Pacifica, $4.40 at the moment, and the Force to beat Waratahs, $3.50. If you multi those two up, you come out at $15.40. Now, Searley thinks at least one of those things is going to happen this week, Pity. But for you, what happens first? Tars lose or Moana Pacifica win?
Moana win.
This week. Oh, so you're against the Canes. What?
No, you said.
Did you hear that, Searley?
Weekend, you said what goes first?
Oh, so the Tars win this week and Moana Pacifica lose this week. So it doesn't happen this week, but Moana will win.
You just said what one happens first.
Yes.
I'm saying Moana first before the Tars.
There you
But
go.
not this week.
No.
Okay. All righty.
I don't know. It's a tough one because Moana's at home and they were pretty solid at home. And this is a big game, especially for Ari,
Oh.
Tana,
Oh.
and the bus.
There we go.
So there'll be a lot riding on Ari trying to encourage the boys, and especially being at home and how I think that's probably the most people I've seen at the stadium watching a home game for Moana, and it was awesome. Created a cool atmosphere, and I'm just hoping that from last week's result, it continues and people will start showing up to support Moana Pacifica, especially up against like big teams like the Hurricanes or any team that they play against in the Super Rugby.
Rocky,
Sounds
two
like an upset to me.
Well,
I'm not going to say it, but I'm just saying, there's a lot riding on this game.
well, it sounded like you were going to say it.
I'm just saying,
pretty
the
much too
Savea
much.
brothers and Tana, and there's a lot riding on the game.
Speaking of this week, why don't we have a look at the games this week? And we'll start with Friday night, where the Blues host the Brumbies. Blues $1.22, the Brumbies $4 after that brave display against the Chiefs last weekend. They're 12.5-point favourites, the Blues, and the total is set at 58.5. Searley, what are you liking here?
I was surprised to see the Brumbies at that big of odds. I do think the Blues will win. Obviously, no Hoskins, though, out for 3 weeks. I'll be interested to see if Bodie's named to start in the 10 later this afternoon. I think the impact he had once he moved there last week and then Plummer moving to the bench, it just kind of worked a little bit better, and it seemed like they unlocked their attack a little bit more. So I will back the Blues here, but I was surprised to see the Brumbies paying such big odds, considering how well they've travelled so far this year. And they weren't embarrassed by a really good Chiefs side. They were in that game for large majorities of it. So I did expect them to be around that, closer to the $3 mark, not the $4 mark.
Pity, the Brumbies just too big an outsider for you at 12.5 points?
Well, I don't like Searley said. I don't think they'd have much to work on from the Chiefs. If anything, I feel like that margin should be a lot closer. I think the Blues coming off the win against the Canes, but I still think that the Brumbies, out of all the Australian teams, have been the most consistent every year, and so I still think this could be a tough one. I don't know what the percentage is like, but I know they've got a few wins at Eden Park, and so this could be a game that they come into with a bit of confidence.
Interesting. Okay. I'm not quite sure what Pity was up to there. Next game is Saturday afternoon.
I'm talking them up, mate. I'm talking them up there. It's not easy for the Blues.
Okay, we'll see what happens with your perfect round when we get to the betting a wee bit later. The Fijian Drua host the Chiefs. And a number of teams realised last season that you don't go to Fiji for a holiday. Lautoka is a very, very tough place to pick up a win. Having said that, the bookies still have the Chiefs as $1.25 favourite. The Drua $3.70 at home. They're 10.5-point underdogs, the Drua at home, and the total is set at 63.5. Searley, do we give the Drua a chance here?
I think you're crazy if you don't, just based off the fact that this one's at home. And we mentioned before, we've been impressed with how well they've travelled and the depth in their squad this year. So they seem like, even if they have a couple injuries, they've got high-quality players to roll into those positions too. So I think they'll be starting to feel a little desperate, 0-3, and they don't really deserve to be with the way that they've played. The biggest thing for them is discipline and making errors at the worst possible times, because if you dish up quality possession to a side like the Chiefs with Damien and co all in fine form at the moment, then they will turn every opportunity into points. And the Chiefs can play that running rugby. They can outmuscle you. They can play any style of footy you want to play. So I do think the Chiefs will be too good, but yeah, those alternative point starts, that'll feature in my perfect round multi. I do think the Drua will keep it reasonably tight. I don't think they will make a disgrace of themselves at home.
Pity the Drua. Boy, oh boy, they are very, very tough over in Fiji. They got big boys all over the park. They'll have the crowd behind them 100%. The likes of Lugani Masi, who scored a couple of tries last weekend. He's looked very, very good. Can you see them causing an upset here?
Like Searley said, you see them at home and you know how strong they can be. And there's not many teams that have gone over there and picked up a W. I think there might be maybe just a handful of teams that have done that over the past 3 years from Super. But yeah, it's a tough one. Maybe the bookies are feeling a bit better for them because they're at $3.70 underdogs, whereas poor Brumbies have bloody been a bit tighter too, and they're at $4. But yeah, I still think the depth that the Chiefs have got, I still think that they go over there and get the job done. As long as they don't go over there and sort of take it for granted and well, our mate's already celebrating.
Yeah, he is, isn't he?
No, well, I've just looked at the weather, and it's heavy thunderstorms, 85% humidity. We are in for a Lautoka special. This is going to be all go.
I wonder if there's runoff on that field too, because I've played in Fiji before and it's had that.
Got the big puddles on the field.
Oh, the old car-fi puddles on the field, and wondering whether we should actually be playing in this ugly weather. So yeah, it was pretty tight. So if it's going to go down that route, it's going to be a pretty close game. I reckon probably under 12 and under.
Oh, here we go. Next game, Moana Pacifica host the Hurricanes. Moana Pacifica, $4.40. The Hurricanes, $1.18. They're 12.5-point underdogs, Moana Pacifica, and the total set at 64.5. Searley, can Moana Pacifica, surely this is another one where you're going to have your alternate point start operating in your perfect round multi?
Yeah, absolutely. This screams a double-digit alternate point start for sure. It'll be interesting for me, the Canes, do they get any bodies back? Because I think that made the difference last week, right? They need to be close to fully healthy in order to knock off the top teams in the competition. And this is a banana skin game, 100%. Although Moana lost last week, they would have taken some confidence by the way they finished that game. They'll be feeling good about playing at North Harbour Stadium now, their new home turf. Like Pity said, they got a good crowd, and I reckon the crowd would have been very entertained from that second 40 and seen enough to come back and get around them again too. So, yeah, I'll be taking Moana on an alternative point start. I think the Canes will have enough quality in there, but this one's going to go down to the wire, just like it did last week.
Pity, the Canes have lost to Moana before.
We know.
Yeah.
What are you hinting at?
Well, just saying there. 12.5-point underdogs, Moana, and they've beaten the Canes before. Just put it out there.
You're talking. You're a Kane supporter too. So
Yeah.
you'll just pointing the finger at me like.
Yeah, but I punt with my own money, so I like to keep it in my pocket.
Oh, so you're going to bet against them?
I didn't say that.
Wow, hey,
I did not say that.
You've done that in the past, and look what happened.
Oh, here we go.
I still think the Canes might, if they've recovered from the weekend and they get their structures right, both on attack and on defense, I think they could walk away with this one, but it won't be easy. I mean, like I said, there's a big thing brewing in that camp, especially around the two Savia brothers and also Tana, being ex-Hurricane himself. So massive game this week. And Warner's at home.
Right, final game on Saturday night. It's an Australian derby. Waratahs up against the Force. Waratahs $1.27, the Force $3.50. They're 9.5-point favourites, the Waratahs, and the total set at 55.5. Searley, quickly, Force, are they being underrated here by the bookies?
Absolutely. I think so. The Waratahs have been winning games, but they haven't looked as polished as they would have wanted to. And the Force have been staying in games and turning them into fights and looking pretty decent at the same time too. I don't think the Force this year, much different to my preseason predictions, are a team that's going to get pumped. So I expect them to be right in this game. And yeah, they're my bets as a 1-12 underdog at $4.60 because I think this game's going to be close. And the more it can turn into an arm wrestle, the more it suits the Force, in my opinion.
Pretty close game for you as well?
Yeah, but I'm edging the task because I just said mine is going to get the win before.
Yes.
So I've got to make sure I play that card right.
Righty-ho. Okay. Final game of the round, Sunday, and the Crusaders host the Reds. Crusaders $1.35 favourite. The Reds $3. They're 7.5-point underdogs, the Reds, and the total set at 59.5. Searley, I don't know. Is the line exactly where it should be? 7.5-point favourites, the Crusaders?
There's some crazy odds, eh? But there is each week, to be fair. So there's some value to be had if you do like upsets every week in your Super Rugby. The Crusaders off the back of a bye. James O'Connor Cup, huge day for him. Apparently he's circled whenever they were playing the Reds, so he'll be excited for this one. But yeah, this Reds team's no joke. They've got Wallabies talent. They're stacked with attacking talent as well. Crusaders will want to get a win for sure, especially at home. But again, I think this game's going to be a lot closer than those odds suggest. I do think the Crusaders will win, but tight game.
All right, Pity. Crusaders, too good at home, or Reds for an upset?
I don't know. I feel like the Crusaders have sort of, with this bye, they've got to try and start again. And with the Reds sort of having back-to-back games, they'll be trying to continue the momentum of what they started. This is a tough one. I think just because what we saw of last year of the Crusaders, we would never expected them to have that many losses at the start of the campaign. I know we're week 4 into it, and they've only got one real result out of their games. So I don't know. Maybe I'll tip the Reds.
Okay. Right. Time for punting. But before we get to this week, we'll have a look back at last week and what happened there. Oh, dear. Let's go. Pity had 3 bets. He had Finn Hurley, Ratuva, Roygaard, Carter, and Liner all to score tries.
Oh.
That would have paid $1 bazillion, I think. It was unsuccessful. He had Moana Pacifica head-to-head. Just missed, and then he had the Canes head-to-head, and that missed. Right. So he's minus $300 for the season. Searley had 2 bets. He also had a try-scorer multi. Tangito, Tomoifilau, and Carter all to score tries. Tangito scored.
Carter didn't even play.
Unfortunately. So no good for Searley there. But he did have his perfect round. Landers, Tars, Chiefs, all to win. Force plus 15.5 and Canes plus 13.5. That came out at $4.04. He had $80 on that. He came out with a profit of just over $300 for the week, and he is up $703.40. I had one multi for the week. Drua plus 9.5 into the Chiefs head-to-head into over 56.5 points in the Canes Blues game. $100 on that. $540 odd back, and I'm $732.78 up for the season after 3 rounds. So there are 2 of us in the good and 1 of us in the bad. So, Searley, seeing as you've just left the city of sin and now you're in the city of angels, or close to, how are you going to go with your perfect round this week?
Well, it's a relief to hear I'm up in betting in some form, because fair to say, didn't walk away with any winning slips in Vegas. But I'm sticking with the perfect round multi. I'm going to chuck $80 on that. I'm going to go the Blues head-to-head, and then the rest are all alternative lines. So I'm going the Drua plus 15.5, Moana plus 15.5, the Force plus 12.5, and the Reds plus 13.5, and that pays $6.40, which I reckon is pretty good value. And then my other $20, I'm chucking on an upset Force 1 to 12, paying $4.60 to beat the Waratahs.
Pity,
I'm going to go with
who is minus 300 season.
the right wing for the Blues, because I don't know who's starting. So I've got to pick the right winger.
Surely it's Talia. Is it not Talia?
Well, you never know.
Okay.
Right winger for the Drua.
Which would be, is that?
You can't, because we don't know the team, so I can only say the right winger.
Is that Logani Mussy or is that? Okay, yeah, all right.
The right winger for Moana.
I'm sensing a trend here.
Yeah, it's pretty much the home teams. All the right wingers for the home.
Oh, so this is going to be your Donald Trump multi, all the right wingers. Wow.
Wow. If all the Moors were allowing these hookers to score tries, then I would have put all the hookers. But right wingers for all the home teams. I'll put 50 on that. And then I'll do a multi with Brumbies, head-to-head. Hurricanes, head-to-head. And Reds, head-to-head. And I'll put 50 on that.
Wow.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
I've got 2 bets, 2 multis. The first one is my Revenge of the Nerds multi. It's Artie Savia to score a try against his old team, and to James O'Connor to score a try against his old team. That's $50 on that one. It's not really a Revenge of the Nerds because Artie's not a nerd.
No, O'Connor's pretty styly too. It's like almost the opposite.
Yeah, I was going to... That's what I'm like trying to figure. And then the Revenge is the only one.
It's just Revenge. Oh, Revenge of the Jedi. Yeah, okay. Revenge of the Jedi. Because I could see both Artie and James O'Connor being Jedis.
Rightio, we'll take your word.
Right. Yeah, we'll go with that.
Oh, gee.
Yeah, we'll go with it.
Bloody hell.
Hang on, just look for the right...
And another double, simple one. Moana Pacifica plus 12.5. Okay, so I'm not saying they're going to win. I'm going to say there's going to be a close game. I'm sure if there's one game that Artie's going to get up for, and he's got up, to be fair, he's got up for every single game so far this season. But if there's one he's really going to fire, it's going to be this one against the Hurricanes. So Moana Pacifica plus 12.5. And I'm also going to take the Drua plus 10.5 in Fiji against the Chiefs. $50 on that double there. All righty. We've made it to the end of another show again.
Yeah.
Searley, you're going to be heading down Santa Monica Boulevard, as Cheryl Crow would say. Look for a nice restaurant or cafe. What time is it there anyway?
It's 1 p.m. So yeah, going to get out amongst it. Went out adventuring a little bit this morning for some coffee and brekkie, but yeah, we'll look to get into it this arvo. My main day is Friday your time, Lakers Knicks, heading along to Crypto Arena for that one.
Nice.
So looking forward to that. So I'm kind of just counting down the days. The Lakers are playing today too, and I see LeBron's playing, so might have a look for some cheaper tickets for that game tonight. But yeah, just looking forward to that.
Doncic, hey, go, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
Courtside seats?
Oh, mate, basically they asked me to play, but I'm unavailable because my calf's been a bit average. So yeah, they wanted me in the lineup, but
Muggsy Bogues.
Spud Webb.
basically.
Pity, what's up?
What's this week? Not much, but a T20 cricket with my made-up team of mates, really.
Cricket or clickety?
No, cricket.
Oh, yeah.
Killikitties on Friday.
Yeah.
And just coaching, really. Coaching in the morning and not up to too and managing, caddying for my son.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, for interclubs. So
At
hopefully
Wainui?
no, they're playing at Bulcott Farms this week.
Oh.
I'll tell you what, they play in like the best golf courses, and I'm like jealous as because I just go to
Wainui? You just go to Wainui.
And Shandon are good quality, but I mean he beat me at playing on Royal. He played there before I got to play on there. I was jealous. I was like, bro, can I join into club so I can play at cool courses like this, please?
Righty-ho.
What about you?
That's it. Oh, well, it's Champions Day at Ellerslie this Saturday with the richest 3-year-old race in the Southern Hemisphere, the NZB Kiwi. There's also 4 Group 1s. There's plenty of action that'll be happening up there, including the Auckland Cup, the New Zealand Derby, the Sistema Stakes, the Thoroughbred Breeders. Oh, it's going to be huge up at Ellerslie this Saturday. Can't wait. I'm really looking forward to it. There's some very, very good horse flesh going around on Saturday at Ellerslie, and it will be the place to be as well if you're up in Tamaki Makaurau.
Wow.
There you go.
Yeah. Very busy weekend for you.
It's very busy. Yeah, it is. Yeah. So,
Is there going to be some good content coming out of that?
well, there'll be content. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Is that it?
Wow.
All righty, we better let our good friend Searley go. He's got to find a restaurant or cafe there on Santa Monica Boulevard where he can have a nice, I don't know what they serve over there. They must be close to the sea, so surely there's a bit of seafood going around Santa Monica way. And Searley, thanks for joining us. Thanks for taking time out of your hangover to talk with us.
No worries, lads. Always a pleasure.
Make sure the pinky's up when you're having that Americano.
Oh, I feel like that, is it?
Well, I wouldn't do my other pinky because it's crooked. We used a straight one. The other one's a bit crooked. See, look.
Oh, yeah, that is. Wow.
That's why I never put up. Always put that one out.
Well, who knew Pity Weepu had a crooked pinky? We find something out every day. Yeah, on the Pick and Go. Pity, thanks a lot for coming in again and actually being on time this week. So that's always a good thing when you're here on time.
Yeah, well.
And thanks to you guys for listening to another episode of the Pick and Go. We'll be back next week where we talk all things Super Rugby.